TikTok is in the worst political position in Washington of probably any tech company, which is really saying something.
The big issue is that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. We've never had this in the US before. We've always had Silicon Valley running social media.
This will be the first time a TikTok CEO has ever testified on Capitol Hill, although the company has appeared twice before.
Lawmakers are worried about the effect that it's having on children. They're worried that kids are endlessly scrolling on the platform and becoming addicted to it, and that that's taking a toll on their mental health.
Now we have a company from a country that is at odds with Washington, that has all sorts of very authoritarian ideas around media control. And so there are worries about, could the Chinese government take Americans' data? Could they seed TikTok with propaganda? Could they censor things on TikTok that the Chinese government doesn't want Americans to see?
Lawmakers are certainly raring to get a top company executive on the stand to answer some of their questions that have been building up for years.
What really started fanning this were Republicans in Congress saying that TikTok, as a company owned by a Chinese owner, would never be able to be trusted.
Chinese Communist Party, of course, can crush freedom of speech in their own country, but they shouldn't be able to crush it in this country.
This even started back in the Trump years, where he was actively trying to either ban it or sell it to a very American company, in his words.
TikTok has been in negotiations with the federal government for months about a deal that could potentially create a firewall between itself, its parent company, and concerns about Chinese influence. But there are also proposals on Capitol Hill to ban the app entirely in the US.
On the more extreme end of the spectrum, you have legislation that would give President Biden authority to just outright ban the app. A more moderate proposal that's been backed by a dozen bipartisan lawmakers would give the Commerce Department a set of new authorities to ban or otherwise limit the practices of apps with foreign ties that present a national security risk.
It's important to establish a holistic and methodical approach to the challenges that are posed by technology from foreign adversaries.
The folks on Washington side have said there's no way we can trust this company as long as there's a Chinese connection. The Chinese national security law allows that government to pull data whenever they want, and as long as that connection remains there, there's going to be a risk here. It has become really politically fraught for anybody to defend TikTok because it's become so politicized. Anybody who has said anything in TikTok's defense has been called soft on China, or not tough enough for kids' privacy, or not tough enough on tech. TikTok has really become a proxy for a lot of these bigger culture war issues that are playing out in Washington around technology in China. And this one company has become a punching bag for so much of what people in Washington fight over.
There's been a wide range of policy proposals to address this threat. But with all of those, there is this question of the First Amendment and whether they will be able to stand up in court.
Banning a social media platform in the US is something we've never done before. We've always abided by these American ideals of free expression, and TikTok is used by 100 million people. To have no proof backing up the case to ban it is a big First Amendment concern. It starts to become a slippery slope if the government can start banning platforms they don't like based off of vague concerns with no evidence.
So these accusations at this stage are largely hypothetical, and TikTok has said that it takes a series of steps in order to protect Americans' data and ensure that it is not hosted within China. In addition to those efforts, the company has pushed back on the idea that it has been exploited in any way. It's been interesting to see how at times even messages that are negative about China have spread on the app. There are narratives that are counter to what the Chinese government would want out there.